And for more insight, a deeper dive, we're welcoming in Rick Pearson, chief political reporter with the Chicago Tribune. Always good to see you.
Thank you, Natasha.
Do you think this is the year for a third-party candidate?
You know, we're in that early stage yet. And obviously, you know, you're seeing these large numbers saying that they would be willing to consider a third-party candidate. And I think there's a number of factors here. One is, you can't beat somebody with nobody. So who is that third-party candidate? And I think that would play into the dynamics of how various Republicans and Democrats would also go in. But I also do think, you know, we've seen from the midterms, the 2020 still being relitigated, this kind of nationalization of elections. And I think if anything, that tells you there's voter fatigue out there.
Sure.
And that's voter fatigue, especially if you're looking at a rematch.
Why would Democrats be wary of a third party?
I think because their view is if Donald Trump is the nominee, they would rather have a head-on-head matchup of Joe Biden and Donald Trump. They would like to see that. And so I think their feeling is that if Trump is the nominee and a third-party candidate gets in, that does weaken Biden. I mean, none of this is to say, this consideration of third parties, that there aren't serious concerns both for Republicans and Democrats,
right,
but particularly for Democrats when you look at large numbers of particularly young Democrats saying they would rather see somebody else.
So it is more likely to draw votes away from President Biden.
Although No Labels denies it, and of course they're saying they're looking at a moderate, perhaps more Republican type candidate that would be a counter to Donald Trump. But people still see that kind of fall off that could happen with Biden.
Let's talk about the GOP lineup so far. Any front runners, any predictions at this point?
You know, obviously you've got Trump way out in front, and he was the presumptive front runner from even before he announced his candidacy. The one thing, too, is in light of the arraignment and the criminal issues, that's really his campaign now. That, I mean, rather than try to shy away from it, he's embracing that as part of the campaign. Certainly, he doesn't want to be indicted. He doesn't want to go to court. But that becomes kind of into the mantra that he has played of victimization. And so this plays also to his core supporters. I mean, Ron DeSantis was kind of viewed as, I would say, Trump light in some respects, the policy without necessarily the rhetoric. But you've seen kind of a lackluster start to his campaign and a falling in the polls.
And why do you think that is? Because there was it seemed a moment of momentum for Ron DeSantis. Is that fizzling out, or is it's still much too early to tell?
I think it's still much too early because all of these things ebb and flow and ebb and flow. And yes, we're a long way we don't even know what day the Republican caucuses are in Iowa yet. But I do think, you know, setting first impressions, if you don't do it right, it can lead to a kind of a cloud hanging over that's one more element that you have to work to try to defeat in voters' minds.
One more question with the time we have left. Any realm, any world in which there would be a DeSantis-Trump ticket, and wouldn't that be a strong ticket for the Republican Party?
I think it could be, but when you look at kind of in the NewsNation poll and the third parties, you know, Trump people don't like DeSantis, and DeSantis people don't like Trump. Now, could you meld that together? Possibly, but I would think that's a real stretch at this point.
I understand. I really appreciate your time, Rick Pearson. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.